Okay.
I'm doing as I'm told.
Wow, he's doing as he's told.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. As you
Yeah.
were.
I'll go again. Right. So unproductivity. That's not a word. But it was a half two in the morning. I'm half asleep. But oh, that's a really cool idea to talk about. Let's put that down. Um, Basically, what I'm doing with Vaultcraft, for those unfamiliar with Vaultcraft, have a look at my YouTube channel, the most recent video, which I aptly incorrectly spelt in the thumbnail, which can't be asked to change. Yeah, it's CARFT rather than CRA. One person like put it in the comments, and I was like, I can't be asked to change it. But yeah,
That was
um,
on purpose. It was a pattern interrupt, right?
yeah, exactly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The fact that one person noticed out of 1,000 is kind of scary. Or at least commented about it. Yeah,
I
so
mean, chances are perhaps people aren't looking at your thumbnails.
the click-through ratio is really good. So they must have just seen like Obsidian project inbox my face and just clicked it and not really read it.
It'd be quite interesting to see if you just don't put text on it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I don't put text on it, then they wouldn't know it's the Vaultcraft series because I've got other videos coming out. But I know what you mean. Um,
Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, that's a business thing that we can experiment with later on. I'm trying with the light theme and the dark theme, like going backwards and forwards between. It doesn't seem to make a difference at the moment in the thumbnails, but we will see. I'm not using dark theme in the actual video because I'm not a dark theme user, and it would just drive me mad. Anyway, back to unproductivity.
I used to be a dark theme user, and then all of a sudden I just stopped using it. And I don't even know why. I used not in Obsidian, but in Notion primarily. I
Mm.
used to be a dark theme user, and then a couple of clients were like, "Oh, why are you using dark theme? It looks hideous." And I just switched to light theme for them primarily. And now I just use everything in light theme. Like even with Notion and Obsidian, I don't have it switching automatically. Whereas all of my other apps switch automatically. I've got my Fantastical switches automatically. Everything else switches automatically, but Obsidian and Notion do not.
I
That
was
is
I
fascinating.
was gonna say, yeah, I Obsidian, I'm light mode, but when I'm browsing on Microsoft Edge, that's dark mode. When I'm in my system, I'm in like mode, but when I'm in like other parts of it, it's dark mode. It's like there are some things that suit dark mode and some things that don't. And when I'm writing in Obsidian, I just no.
Yeah, yeah. For some reason, I just never have it in dark mode. I mean, I never. I mean, I started in Obsidian in light mode because, of course, I was using your theme and it looked like shit in dark mode.
Yeah, because it
And
wasn't
then
built
just
for dark mode.
exactly. And so I just used that, and it was fine. But I tried to put it in dark mode when I switched over to the new update, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like this. I'll go back to night mode. Thank you very much. Goodbye. So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to talk about the update as well at some point. Should we talk about that now?
Why not? It's in our head. No one cares about your unproductivity, you weirdo.
I'm going to link it in though. So
We will.
the unproductivity, just to give people reference for those that are interested. um, the idea is the Vaultcraft stuff that I'm doing. I have lots of lofty ideas which I've spoken to John about. Some
They are
plugin
really great.
ideas, some really cool gamification ideas, but they're not productivity. Like anyone in like the productivity world that's like, oh, you need to write stuff or you need to do stuff and be productive. It's not unless my goal or my OKR is to make notes fun.
I mean, I I find your thought on it being unproductive interesting because I don't see that as unproductive.
No, I don't see it as unproductive, but I think from a traditional, like when if you were to go into like a PKM forum and you were to say like I'm making my notes gamification, you'll get a lot of people saying no, just do your notes, forget about all that complex rubbish and making it this that and the other. Just do the thing and just
I
be
don't know.
productive because I see those
I
conversations all the time.
Oh, then it's in spaces that I don't want to be in and don't go in,
uh
obviously. Yeah, I just find that really something that has been really interesting
Hardcore
to me.
PKMers.
Yeah, they can go away. I know that might be our audience, but oh well. Um, like what I find quite interesting is as I've been doing my philosophy of practice and figuring out more of how I work, it is almost in complete antithesis
Nice
to
word.
hardcore productivity. Yeah,
Yeah.
antithesis. Oh.
Antithesis. It's a woody
Mm.
word.
It's a woody word. It's in complete antithesis to the way productivity works. It is just I am the exact opposite. I don't care. Like I don't mind having a complete and utter mess of a space as long as my brain is not
Organized
full.
mess.
Yeah, organized mess. It's a mess. I know where things are. No one else has to. I don't care.
Exactly.
And just having that, which I think is why I like Vaultcraft. And if it wasn't in a business sense where everybody else has to access it too, I could probably be in Vaultcraft.
So that's interesting. So in my head, Vaultcraft is a series where I'm crafting my vault. And so the vault itself is mine, but anyone else can do Vaultcraft by crafting their own, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And that's what I had in my head when I came up with the name of the series, because I was like, even though this is my vault and I'm crafting this, someone else could do their own Vaultcraft series in theory and just create their own vault somewhere else. And they would then document their journey on creating the vault, mainly Obsidian Vault. But I guess you could do it the same with Rome or Logseek, because they're still sort of vaults instead of vault. You could call it graph or whatever. But the idea is that you add plugins, you add themes, you customize your vault in whatever way to get stuff done. So to me, it's kind of like for me, it's evolving the philosophy of practice around the productivity rather than the actual actions itself. Because when I actually look at how many notes I've done or how many source notes I've gone through, how many references I've added, those sorts of things in the last 2 weeks, it's zero.
Yeah.
I've done some but I've done a couple of blog posts, and I've done some lot of like what I would class as business style work, which is still productive. But if I put the amount of time I've spent doing businessy style work in replace of content style work, and then me just faffing around in data view is like 70% of my time in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and actually, I think we spoke about this before, and if we haven't, then we're going to now, around like what you're doing with that like data view and Vaultcraft and the extended mind or whatever you've called it. I can't remember now.
Extended brain, close.
Extended brain, thank you.
I didn't want to copy the name of the book.
That's I've been reading the book. It's been on my bedstand. That's where that came from. Yeah. So what I find, yeah, my thought's just gone now. It's good. My brain went too fast.
Your extended mind went too fast. You were talking about Vaultcraft and me being in data view for 70% of the time.
Thank you. What I find quite interesting, like that way of thinking around, oh, I've just been messing around in data view. What you've been doing is setting up a really well-oiled system, but you can't see the benefits right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you've got benefits coming. It looks like you're just wasting time. And a lot of what I see as for business people, they reach this point in their business where it's like they're in this wobbly bit in the middle. They've stopped throwing shit at wall, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, but they're not at like this massive company with massive tons of employees. They're in this little middle bit. And that's where like doing stuff that you're doing right now is so important. It's setting down the foundations for the future of everything. It's the same thing as why I set up automation so that I can easily add a task when I'm thinking. Purely because and it takes me longer. I could just get over it. And that is the hustle culture-y BS, the just do it productivity nonsense that gets spouted quite a lot. And I think when you move away from that, you end up spending a lot more time, I suppose, improving and adapting And there is obviously everything should be done in moderation. You got to be careful that you don't spend more time tweaking than you do doing. Do.
I was thinking the
But it is
same.
quite. I knew you were going to do that, just like before you did. But I think what is quite powerful is by having that time in the back end where you're really like programming your system and really creating something that fits you.
So what comes to mind for me, because the way I've said unproductivity, because I think that's how the society labels this thing, or a lot of society, the society that we are in, the PKM productivity, toxic productivity, whatever you want to call it, space, that sort of area. I see it as learning. And learning obviously takes a long time. And I went from being a beginner in data view. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert, I'm far from it, but I've gained expertise through the last 2 weeks that I think puts me well beyond a beginner. And that learning took time, took effort, took a lot of pain and frustration, wanting to throw like everything at everyone. It's just, it's so annoying, especially when you do something and it just doesn't work, and all it is a comma or a speech mark in the wrong place or a bracket somewhere. You're like, but
oh yeah, semicolons.
Yeah. But all of this is it's allowing me to get to answers to other questions quicker.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is because I now have this level of expertise, not high level, depends who you compare myself to. But because I have this level of expertise, when people are asking questions in the Obsidian forum, in the Discord, on Reddit, I'm like, oh, you just do this. But I'm at a point now where I'm like, oh, you just do that. Whereas 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, yeah, I had no idea. So I see that upfront work worth it, even though there isn't an obvious benefit, like you say, right now.
I think that's kind of what, bloody hell, He calls it the 10K work. I mean, I have
leverage.
like I have not necessarily issues. I don't ascribe to that, but it does make sense, and it's kind of that explained in a slightly different way.
Adding a different sense of value to what you've learned, sort of like more valuable skills. I guess is valuable is obviously subjective, but when I say more valuable skill, I mean it can be used to create more value than something else.
It's kind of like people who use, so for me, I don't use time tracking software, not the traditional ones where I press buttons to start things off and stop things, but I want to be able to see how much time I spend doing certain things because I get lost otherwise, or I think I've spent hours when I really haven't. I do that a lot. That one is primarily with the money stuff because it's boring to do the accounting stuff myself.
Time goes slower when you have to think.
Yeah, it's boring. Time goes slower when I have to think and I don't really want to be thinking about it. But I use Rise to track my time, and it does it for me, and I don't have to think. And I think for me, it's almost you were talking about like gaining skills and the right kind of skills. I could just get good at using things like toggle track, where I press a button to start tracking something, but that is not a skill that I can use elsewhere. It is a skill that is very specific. It is a habit that I'm building that is very specific to one small thing. And do I actually want to create a habit doing that? No. Why would I want to create a habit on how to press a button at the right time?
Well,
I would
we could find some reasons, but
I mean, yes, of course, but shush.
Yeah.
The point
learning how to code is much more valuable, especially in the world we're living in.
Yeah, exactly. Because once you start learning how to code, you can create your own stuff as well. And that really takes it to a whole another level. Like, for example, actually, a good thing now is that I've been learning to code as well. And now I'm able to do much more higher level like automations than I've done before. I use a completely different platform now to Zapier because Zapier is annoying and pain in the ass. And it obfuscates, there you go, the
Another
code.
woody word.
I know, woody word. We're on woody word territory today. And it just hides the code, and I find that annoying. I like being able to see what I'm doing with it. And so
Oh,
I've
tell me about it.
I
Tell
like
me about that's one of the
I
most
am
irritating things with Git. You do something and then it's just like if there's no error, you've done it right. If there is an error, you've done it wrong. But because it doesn't tell you if you've done it right, you're like, but has it gone into the right place? Has it activated? Like I know it worked, but did it work the way I wanted it to work? And the only way to test it is by then trying to break it and be like, no, it did work. Okay. So annoying. Like creating a repository in a directory. I created a repo. Is it in the right directory? I don't know. I now need to work out how to find a repo in a directory. And it's so annoying. Just show me the yeah.
yeah.
But like you were saying, about like skills over time, what I realized is Notion. A lot of people said to me, like Notion formulas, you don't need Notion formulas, you don't need this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, but it's fun, and I'm learning to do all these different things. Now, Notion formulas, although don't transfer very well to Obsidian data view, there are still some things that transfer. And when you use the data view JS, because Notion formulas was built on JS, some of the syntax is still the same. So if you want to do a Boolean query, an if statement, for example, you can still use the question mark commas, colons, to say, hey, this or this. It's written slightly differently because you've actually got to write code rather than just a shorthand in a formula box. But that time spent up front understanding Notion formulas has helped me, I think, grasp data view quicker. And
Yeah.
I'm working on a blog post at the moment because I've had a look at the beginner blog post to data view, and they all say the same sorts of things, but they don't say it from like a noob. Like when I'm looking at all of these code beginner friendly things, they just say repository, say command, say query, say all these different words. I'm like, I don't even know what that word means, let alone what the code says.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a beginner's page, which is literally like you could follow it, just do exactly what I say and get the response. And that's what I wanted. When I started with DataView, I was like, I knew how to install the thing. I could do that bit. It's actually getting it to work the way that I want it to. And all the commands, like you could do all of these things or all of those things or all of these different things and use any of these syntax. I'm like, great, just give me something that works.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Um,
I find that with coding in general,
I
as
want to
I'm
play.
learning
But
JS.
if I
It's
take
like
that out, what happens? If I add something in, what happens? I want to.
yeah, I have not. I'm still looking for a platform that does that with JS in general because it's very annoying to find. And I kind of just have to throw myself in the deep end and hope for the best. But when it comes to actually developing, so I would love to be able to develop my own programs. That'd be lovely. That'd be an absolute pleasure because then I could do so many things.
One of my side projects with plugins
Yeah, exactly.
to start somewhere.
But it's just like, well, what do I use? And there are so many different options. And it's like, well, just tell me what I should be using. Oh, you should do it all on by scratch on your own. I'm like, why? Why do I have to do? Why can't I use libraries? Why shouldn't I use libraries? What's the problem with using libraries? Why is that bad? Why is that good? What do I risk by using a library? Because as far as I'm concerned, using a library makes a lot of good sense.
It makes life easier.
Yeah, it's like, why would I not use a library? And if you're going to tell me, and often it's just, oh, just use, raw JavaScript or whatever they call it. Like, just use the proper JavaScript, use it properly from scratch and learn it. I'm like, why? Because you're not telling me why, so I'm not going to. Because if I can take a shortcut that will enhance my learning and make it faster to get to the end goal, I am going to take it because I don't want to have to learn every single scrap of everything before I can create something that fits me.
Why do you think copy and paste exists?
Exactly.
Like copy and paste off of literally anywhere on the internet, Stack
Yeah.
Flow, whatever.
Like why should I not use libraries?
So this is something that I'm doing with my blog, which I want to do because when I try and do code, it's annoying that I can't like do it, if that makes sense. Like when I see something on a website, they show the code, but it's not in a window. So what I end up doing is literally go copy and paste into my own thing and then taking stuff out and adding stuff in. But sometimes I write it wrong, or the context isn't fully set up because I don't know exactly what's going on with the code. It's just a written thing. Maybe they've got something in settings that's different or whatever. So what I'm doing with my blog posts, I've only got two up at the moment. But one of them is the templater plugin. And what I've done is I've got a download at the bottom of the blog post that has the vault with just the stuff that I explained in the blog post. So if you don't get it in the blog post, you download it, and then you can literally see exactly the setup in the vault. And I wish people with code did that. Like there are a couple of like helper websites that you get code and they teach you through the coding thing. But it's still I want it like myself, if that makes sense. Like I want to be able to go, okay, this is where I started, this is where I'm going, and move from there, rather than being sort of like checkpointed by someone. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just looking. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Oh wow, that is nice. Like daily note, and that's nice. Yeah,
Oh,
I think
you
that's
look at
really
the
nice.
blog.
Yeah, because it is nice just to have to not think about that. Because that's one of the reasons why I freaking hated your original daily template. Because I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to have to change the name each time and every single time. I don't want to do that. Boring. So I didn't do it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's like, I'll just use the calendar. I know that's more effort, but it's like, I'm gonna do it. It is more mental effort to have to count back one day, count forward one day.
The only issue was on like a new month. I'd have to check like, is it 30 days or 31?
Yes, it bugged me. I'm like, no, I don't want to have to think about that. Just do it
Yeah,
now.
I don't think about it anymore. It does it
I
for
just
me.
look at it. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I might actually do that.
And because it's template, you can add more. So you can say like 5 days, 7 days, whatever. So I don't have a blog post up there, but if you then become familiar with how templater works from there, you can then create a weekly template or a monthly template or a review template. And it can look at the current day. So if you make the note on like the first of the month, it will look at that and go, okay, pick up the next Monday, 2 Mondays, 3 Mondays, last whatever, pick up any day you want, make the link to that note, and then you've got a review there ready. So it's kind of like a starting point to build from wherever. But yeah, I put the template there. And I mean, on my system, it's basically an empty vault. It's got like 2 folders, 2 notes, like the templated JS plugin script, and that's basically it. Everything else is the default. But that's all you need. That's all you need.
Oh, you should have charged like 20 quid for that.
Well, you can pay if you want, but
That was a little bit salty. Sorry.
yeah, I can. Yeah. That's something I have noticed though. With I'm going to talk business for a second here. I say business.
Ooh.
I'm going to talk money. It's something that I've noticed with templates and products is you can sell a template for money, or you can share a template for free. There doesn't seem to be like a middle ground. It's if you sell it for free, you ask in some other way to be helped, whether it's like a buy me a coffee or a Patreon or something like that. Unless you're using the Gumroad, with like what I've done, which I don't see many people do. I don't know whether I'm not looking in the right place.
What? Unless you use the Gumroad what? Like
so,
the
so
pay what you
in
can.
Gumroad, you can make it free, but you can say, oh, I would suggest you pay however much as like a donation. Now, my beginner Obsidian starter pack template thingy that's on my big video they did well, it's completely free. So you can put 0 and pay nothing, or you can put whatever you want in. And I've sold. I haven't sold because it's not paying for all the time, but people have used the product. They've downloaded the product over 1,000 times. So I'm looking at how people interact, and a lot of people put 0. But there are some people that put in like 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. I've had some really odd, like 250. I'm like, why are you putting in 250? I mean, it's what they've chosen to do. But it's interesting to see the dynamics that, yes, a lot of people want it for free, but some people are quite happy to give you something. And it's kind of like this weird in between of I'm selling it, but I'm not selling it. And instead of there being a separate barrier of you need to go to Patreon or you need to PayPal me or you need to buy me a coffee, whatever, it's there up front, like off the bat. I don't see many people using it. And
I have in the Notion space they do.
Okay.
I swear, like a couple of Marie's templates are pay what you want.
Yeah, I know
sure
that's where I got it from.
Yeah, so Marie does that. I think a Notioneer does that. I don't know whether he still does it now, but
That's what I mean. Like
does it.
2.5 years ago, when I was in the Notion template space, it was all the rage. But now, whenever I look at a template, it's like 15, 20 bucks, quid, whatever.
Yeah,
and there's not an option. I don't know whether that's
think
business.
what it is. My suspicion is the whole space has changed to be, hey, make money selling Notion stuff, which, frankly, I don't have a problem with. The problem, and I have been very vocal about my issues with the way that the Notion space has gone around how it's all focused on everybody else making money, because I find it really hard, because the purpose of Notion, or to me, my view is that the purpose of Notion is to support people to improve their life, like make it easier to do what they want to do. And I don't mind. I have no problem with being paid for a template, but I want to make sure that template's actually going to support them instead of just going on about how I've earned £10,000. And I just find that disingenuous. I just find it really like, great, you've earned $10,000. How many of your clients are happy? How many of the people who've bought that template feel good? And if they feel good and if they get what they want, yes, amazing. You are awesome. Everything about you is awesome. Great. Fantastic. But I have a suspicion that that isn't the case. And instead of people seeing like, and to be upfront, my costs for a Notion build is over $10,000. I will not do anything. When I'm doing a Notion build, I charge a lot. But that is because me and my team work directly with the person to help them build something that fits them. We have a base like outline with the basic commonalities, and yeah, we could sell that. Probably should sell that. But it's not enough on its own. And that has always been the thing. It's like making sure that what you have can help people, whether they are ready to pay a lot of money or not very much money. And I think what's happened is it's all become like, oh, you can make £10,000 on selling Notion templates. It's like, great. Why do you have to tell me? It's like, it's very much around going, hey, look at me, I'm amazing. I'm now going to go and teach you a course on how to sell things. It's like, but you're following a trend, because the Notion bubble will burst. And
if it hasn't already.
If it hasn't already, I think it might be on its way out to bursting for some people.
I think you brought up a couple of interesting points. I had a oh yeah moment, which you probably noticed. So community to me is a big thing. Being able to talk to people, which is why I respond to all of my comments. There was a comment actually yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, I responded." They were obviously a new commenter because they said, "I can't believe you actually responded. Thank you so much." And then like spent like the first paragraph of their response thanking me for like responding to a comment. I was like,
Oh, that's
Thank,
nice.
thank you, but you could have looked at any video and any comment. But yeah, and then we sort of carried on. And then whenever they mention me, I get a notification, so I do respond. If you don't mention me, YouTube doesn't send me a notification to say you've responded, so I don't see it, and I'm not going to check every comment on my channel. It's far too difficult. So make sure you mention me in future. But so the community, the having a conversation bit, obviously you do that for consulting. I do that when consulting, sort of. It's kind of like I do it if people go and look for it, but I don't
Yeah.
publicly push it. If you really need the help, I'm happy to help. But the community aspect is what I like to push, what I like to try and engage in. And the yeah thing is Gumroad, as of like a week ago, allows you to link Discord with a Gumroad sale now. So previously it was just Circle and you needed Circle. Now it's Discord. So it gives you a push notification if you buy something to go into Discord. So anyone, I say buy, you don't buy with whatever money, you could then go to Discord and ask the person straight away, or ask people that have bought the same sort of thing. And that to me means that you're building a community around not just the project, the product that they bought, but also the general community around those people, which is obviously what I'm doing. Obsidian is very similar, that some people in Obsidian, in the Obsidian Discord, because it's a massive Discord, they don't know where to go. Like I was talking to someone in my Discord, I think it was last week, and they were saying that they don't know what channel to go to, they don't know who to
Yeah.
ask, because it's
Yeah.
just so big.
The Obsidian Discord is massive. I don't go in there because I'm just like, I look in there and I'm like, oh shit. I'm instantly overwhelmed.
So I am active in the Discord and in the Reddit and in the forum because I want to know. I'm in the know, but I know where to look. I know what to look for, and I know what not to look for because I'm in there so much. And something that, just to show how big the Discord is, the data view thread that was in the advanced plugin channel became too big to be a thread, and it's now turned into a channel. So they've had to create a data view channel, right? There were over 1,000 people in the thread. Yeah, that's how big the data view thread was. Imagine what the actual channel for advanced plugins talk about. The data view thread was just for, okay, I'm looking to create tabs in data view JS and add all of these different things to my query. What's going on? You have to look through a good like 10 plus lines of code to really figure things out. In the advanced channel, there's none of that. It's just, how do I do a from query? How do I do a where query? How do I sort something? All those in one channel, it goes quick. I can leave the channel, like just the advanced plugin channel, for a day, come back and be like 700 plus messages. I'm like, skip. What's most recent? Someone going into that, first off, no idea. General channel, don't even get me started on the general channel. Like 1,000 plus messages in a day.
I think that's where Circle was quite good in many ways. But obviously, one, Circle costs, and getting people into an external platform is so darn hard. Believe me, I know.
Yes.
And same with Facebook groups as well. Once you reach a certain size, it gets a little bit of a pain.
Yeah.
And once it gets that big, you got to think, like I did some work with a client a while back around a community, and they were like, well, once I reach this members, I'm locking it down. Like, I don't want any more, because then it keeps that tight-knit community of people together and allows them to really think and work together and be together. And I like that. But also supporting a community is tough.
So I'm just thinking for community management. I mean, at the moment, my community is like the IA. I'm quite happy with it because everyone asks questions that are not just Obsidian related. It's Zotero, it's Morgan, it's all the other apps under the sun that people use, and it's using the workflows. it's what I would class as like an academic workflow, an internet academic workflow. It's kind of like the academic thread from from the Obsidian Discord, but in somewhere else. So my question would be, if people are inactive, do they contribute to the community? Because I think there's a difference between a community size and an active community size.
Oh, that one is always a difficult one.
Because when I look at the Obsidian Discord, it's pretty small compared to the Notion one or the Tools for Thought one. But when you look at the activity, the Obsidian Discord is far more active.
I think the active community is the important part. And also, if you think about it, like I find that the Obsidian Discord is full of really like invested members. They're all invested and passionate about things, which I think I love. Yeah, they're very passionate about it. And I think that's the difference. Whereas a lot of the other platforms are like, unfortunately, the Notion stuff that happened, it's now like, look at my template. I'm in the Twitter Notion community. It's like, I made this template, come buy it. I'm like, no, I don't want to buy a template.
Do you see Obsidian going that way? Because, I mean, it's got the potential. I don't think the community as it is now will, but if it gets bigger.
I don't know. I'm not sure it will, because I don't think Obsidian could go mainstream.
That's a big shout.
I'm not sure.
I guess it depends what you mean by mainstream, because the way I see it in my head is a lot of people that are, from an outsider, a lot of people that are doing the selling of the templates and the buying of the templates and things are the students, the mature students, the people that are sort of in business but sort of not in business. I don't want to say millennials, but that sort of age range, sort of between 18 and 30, right? And I think as those people develop more tech understanding, savviness, and Obsidian with the update, which we still haven't gone through, which we need to, and the update stuff comes out, I think more of those people will lean that way. And I think as soon as like
I think it will be I think it could be very much more academic focus. I don't think it will get mass like Notion has. Notion is
it won't get the same as Notion.
I don't think, and that's what I mean by it. Notion is mainstream. Like it is mainstream now.
It's a mainstream app, yeah.
Which is good and bad in my opinion.
Pros and cons.
But yeah, exactly. Whereas Obsidian, I think, will always be a little outlier.
I'm not too sure about that. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people that are using Microsoft Word don't like it, right? Bear with me. And Obsidian, at its core, is Microsoft Word. Now, if you peel back all of the stuff that we know about Obsidian and just look at it from a word processor, it does the job. So will it be mainstream, like massive mainstream? No. But when you look at writers, authors, academics, obviously, and students.
I don't know about writers and authors. I think they would probably use some rights. Yeah.
Yeah, but Scrivener's, like, when I look at Scrivener, because of the recent update with the tabs, the only thing Scrivener has that Obsidian doesn't have is the corkboard. But there's a plugin for that in Obsidian. Everything else Scrivener does, Obsidian does. And
but Obsidian, we know that. That's the issue here.
Well, yeah. But there is nothing in the like default Obsidian that doesn't do that. The only thing that is missing there is the marketability of what Obsidian can do compared to Scrivener. And like I was saying, like I was sort of like alluding to with the template sort of thing, is I think when there is a big push, like Notion blew up because of Ali and then Thomas, and then everyone else sort of fell in love, and they all sort of like moved it and the community grew. I think if a big push happens with something like either an Obsidian template does really well from someone somewhere, and it pushes in, whoever pushes the mainstream audience, like the bigger audience, then people will go, oh, that works. I'm going to try and replicate that. Because let's be real, that's what people do with Notion templates. They saw Notion templates, like Marie found success, August found success, Ali and Thomas then sort of followed suit and found success, and loads of other people did the same. And it makes sense. Now everyone's doing it. You just need that one person to follow. Kind of my gripe with all the medical professionals on YouTube. Ali got success. I'm a doctor. Let's be a YouTuber. I'm a doctor on YouTube. I don't care. I've seen enough. But you see what I mean? I think if there is that one push template, or there is that one push writer, author that uses Obsidian rather than Scrivener, I think it could move forward. I mean, Seth Godin still uses a typewriter, for sake.
Wow.
Yeah, he did. Now, like when he
types, he uses Notion.
When he writes his blog in the old WordPress format. That's where he writes it. He doesn't write it external anyway. He just writes it in there for his blog every day. When he was writing his books, he was using a typewriter up until recently, where he got into like a digital thing, very similar to Derek Sivers, where it's just a basic notepad that there's no fancy or anything or other. It's just a basic notepad thing. But what they both said is they use a markdown tool, like a basic either notepad or something similar, which has markdown, rather than a like Word, what you get editor, because they want the plain text files. And that's what they want.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I loved Notion to start with. That was my first, like, ooh, yes, please, was going away from Google Docs and going away from, like, word processing apps into something that is just, I can go in there and I can type and I can write and I can stop faffing and just get my ideas out onto paper. And I still think Obsidian is just, it is the pinnacle of that, because now Notion has got, for me personally, now I can do too many things with Notion.
I think that's a user thing, because Obsidian, in my eyes, can do more.
Oh yeah, you can do a hell of a lot with Obsidian.
Yeah,
but I think I'm choosing not to, and I like Obsidian for its word. If I strip back everything, and I'm just like, okay, what is this?
You don't have to.
Yeah,
like exactly. In Notion, where you push a button, you get all the options. In Obsidian, you have to go looking for the options.
Exactly. And I think that's Obsidian's power. It is so
right. So I'm gonna run this by you. This is something else. Again, this is like a 2:30 a.m. idea. Title for the video of some sort: The Ugly Truth About Obsidian, right? And the reason I say this is because what I realized in the Vaultcraft video is, in Obsidian, you can't hide anything, right? And I say you can't hide anything from files. Like in Notion, you make a database, you make a page, you add something, you could forget about it because it can be lost in some pages and databases somewhere.
Oh God, yeah. No, Obsidian, you don't get any of that shit.
File Explorer shows you. Like
it is naked, it is horrible, and I hate it, and I also love it at exactly the same time.
Exactly. It's like, it's an ugly truth. Like, if I make a file, a random file that's completely empty, if I make loads of untitled files and folders, I see them in the File Explorer. I'm like, highlight, delete. Highlight, delete. Get rid of that.
Just opens up my space, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Shut up.
Notion, the amount of databases that I found when I was like leaving, I was like, why do I have loads of untitled pages in here? Obviously, I pushed the plus button and forgot. Or just random databases I had made to test something out and just didn't delete them because of whatever reason, or created a linked database somewhere to see if something worked. And all that database nonsense creates like hidey holes for things. Obsidian,
whereas Obsidian, you don't get none of it.
It's in your face. And the ugly part about this is I am in the process of changing my system, which is obviously the name of the recent Vaultcraft video, because of data view and all the stuff that you can do with it now that I didn't realize you could do. And my tags, I'm needing to change my tags, but I have some files with tags, some files without tags in my sources. And then I have other tags as well, which I'm like, how do I rename them? I can use Tag Wrangler and rename them, but like, Do I want to rename the tags, or do I want to add a property to them? And these are the questions I'm like, oh, I don't know, and I kind of need to play. You see what I mean? I feel like that's going to be like in the next Vaultcraft episode of like me going, hey, I'm going to do this thing now, and then spending like 4 hours doing it, and then just cutting to the end, like I did it.
Yeah.
So the Obsidian update. Let's talk about that briefly.
Yes.
Dogs come in, which is barking. What do you think? Like I've been using it a while, like since it came out. So
I just like how it looks right now. I mean, I haven't played enough for me to be like, oh my god, I love it. No, my god, I just love how it looks. It feels good, and I know that's just a theme update. I love the tabs. The tabs are joyful and amazing, and I prefer it already. Yeah, I need to explore it more before I can be like, oh, I love this or I hate that. I love this, I hate that. But I do. Even just being in there, like opening it up now, I'm like, yes, I love this now. Goodbye, thank you.
Yeah, I think
because the tabs just, yeah.
The tabs and the aesthetic update was certainly needed. I think it can now challenge. I think it can now challenge Notion for aesthetic looks from default. And the reason I say that is because the accent color you can customize. Notion, you can't do that. And
that's true.
And when you look at Notion, it looks very similar to Obsidian. Like, if take away the different panels and tabs and stuff that you can do in Obsidian, and you just look at it from a purely like, what does the page look like? What does the font look like? What does the interface look like? It's very similar to Notion. Like, if you forget you've got a right panel and you use the left side, like Notion's done, it's very similar. You hide and show the panel. You've got the main page. Forget the tabs because Notion doesn't have tabs.
Hell.
Yeah. But it looks very similar. It's stylish.
Yeah. Actually, I can agree.
Like, before, it looked a little bit Cody robotic.
Yeah, it's got a bit more.
I don't want to say minimal because it was minimal before, but it looks more polished.
It feels more. Yes, it feels more polished out of the box.
Well, Capano, the developer of the minimal theme, is now part of the development team in Obsidian. There's now 4, which is nice. So they've basically gone from the 2 main developers, like Ant Silver. They've added in the most popular plugin developer from like Liam Calendar, and then they added in the most popular theme developer in Capano. So basically, they've gone community theme person, community plugin person, 2 developers.
It's nice,
which makes sense. But yeah, it feels nice, it looks nice, functions well. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I certainly think it can challenge Notion. And I was actually talking with one of the speakers for the conference, the Linking Your Thinking conference that's coming up next week. And I was speaking to one of the other speakers about it, and he's a Roam user, but knows Obsidian. And he was basically saying that there's nothing in Roam that you can't do in Obsidian. And he was like, if there's something in Roam, I'll let you know. Like, that Obsidian can't do. And I said, that'd be great. But in a couple of days, a plugin would be made. Like,
yeah.
I think Logseek's the better app to challenge Roam.
Yeah,
I still think it falls short.
I think Roam has kind of faded a little bit, but that is my very biased perspective, because I went Roam first, and I didn't really see the value in it, because Roam.
All the Roam users I know have gone to Obsidian.
Yeah, all the Roam users I know have gone to Obsidian. Yeah, and that is, yeah, for me. I just think that Roam is slightly faded. I think it's even more niche. It's kind of like Obsidian, Roam, Logseek in terms of like.
I think that's only because of the initial boost of Roam. Like, if you take away Rome's initial boost because of the popularity it got with like Nat Eliason, Ali, Thiago, all of them talking about it, plus obviously you get rid of that boost, and I don't think Rome is anywhere near Obsidian. And I think
No.
it would struggle to hit Logseek as well. I mean, if Logseek got a bit of a boost with a couple of the other development things that's happening, I reckon Logseek overtakes Rome soon. Because
I haven't even tried Logseek, so I have no comment.
yeah, it's similar to Rome, a little bit more clunky, but it has some of the features of Obsidian. I don't like Logseek because it's still very block based.
Yeah.
And it's an outliner. I don't like saying it's an outliner because Obsidian's also an outliner. You can outline in Obsidian. It's just Logseek is a block-based outliner, whereas Obsidian is a text-based outliner.
Yeah.
But it still has blocks in it. So it's yeah, I think the only thing that Logseek has that Obsidian doesn't have that would really sway me is the PDF reading. Like, you can read a PDF in Logseek, highlight it, and then go into Logseek. But I do that in Zotero because Zotero is easier and quicker and more flexible. Like, why would I want a tool to do everything when this thing over here, Zotero, does it so well?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm seeing Zotero be with more and more people. I'm just like, I went into Zotero, like, Danny. I'm just like, Danny. They've spoken to Danny then. So
Well,
I have actually cancelled my Readwise subscription.
moment of silence.
Yes. Rest in peace, Readwise.
What, for Zotero?
Yeah, I just use Zotero now. And I just highlight things. The only thing I don't have is you're very happy right now.
Oh yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
in my head that makes more sense. But people use
Yeah.
Readwise and they pay for it, and I'm like,
yeah. I just use Zotero now. The only thing I haven't figured out yet is how to get my like, oh fuck's sake, Kindle stuff out. That I'm still trying to figure out. I might have to, because isn't Zotero open source or something? So I'm sure there's something that I could use to get it in there.
There are a couple of plugins. There are a couple of workflows. I don't have. I do have a Kindle, but my sister's got it because I don't ever use it. Yeah, so I don't have a workflow for it, but I know there is one. It might be worth actually asking in the IA Discord, because I think there are a couple of I know everyone in there uses, or most people in there use Zotero, and I know some of the users in there use tablets and Kindles and things, so they might have a workflow to help you out with that. That's exactly what the IA's community is for, because like
Yeah, because once that's there, I basically have everything, and I would prefer it to be automatic, not manual. That is the only thing. I don't want to have to actually think about it.
Yeah,
It's like,
well, with your coding knowledge, that could be your first. It's not really an app, Zotero plugin.
it could be. It could be.
You'd need to have like an API probably to Amazon Kindle, but
There is an Amazon Kindle API. I think there is.
yeah, that would be my guess. I mean, that's if a plugin hasn't already been made. There are so many plugins in Zotero. What people don't realize, I think, is Zotero is basically the same as Obsidian. Like, when it comes to like the development aspect, there are some core developers, but there are community plugins that's developed all the time. So
Nice.
yes, it's worth having a look. Obviously, some of the plugins are just stored on GitHub, so you'd need to figure that out because it's very sort of code hacky. And the people that market Zotero are even worse than Obsidian. Like, their website is tacky. The forum is disgusting.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But the app and the tool works so well.
Yeah.
So I think if the website didn't look so bad and people outside of academia spoke about it, more people would use it. The amount of people I get that say, yeah, but Zotero is for academics, isn't it? Zotero is for researchers, isn't it? I'm like, no,
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. That's the thing. It's not.
Yeah, but to start with, you thought it was, and it's like, how do you get rid of that
Yeah.
stigma? I mean,
What
even on their
was it?
website, they say the research assistant. Their marketing is to researchers.
Yeah.
And I'm an academic, so when people see it, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're just an academic. That's why I use Zotero." No, yes, I'm an academic, but I also use Zotero. It's like I need someone that isn't in academia to use Zotero to shout from the rooftops because I'm someone sold already. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That's true. Huh. Hmm.
I mean, when you look at Readwise and Zotero, the Readwise Reader app, beta app thing. I don't know if it's an actual app yet. I know they were working on it. The Reader, Zotero already has that. That came out in Zotero 6.
Yes.
You can already go into the PDF and read it. Like, no, it doesn't read it out to you, but not everyone wants it to read out to you. And for me, I just bring it up on Microsoft Edge, and Microsoft Edge literally updated this morning where you can now right click and start it from anywhere. So I can have my browser read out the paper while I read it in Zotero and do all the highlighty stuff. I don't know if Readwise has this, but you can also in Zotero drag a box around an image. Does that
No.
no?
No. No.
For tables, for images, you can
Yeah.
drag it around. And because of the exports, you can then export the image into Obsidian and have the image already in Obsidian.
Yeah. Yep. Pardon me.
I don't think Readwise has that,
No.
but I don't use Readwise, so I can't pull on them too much.
No. I like Readwise, but now I have Zotero, I don't really need to think about it.
Actually, with Readwise, can you go directly from Readwise to your notes in Obsidian? So can you
No.
search in Readwise? Oh, okay.
Oh,
Can you search in
sorry.
Readwise and then go to Obsidian?
No. I mean, it exports to my Obsidian folder. In a specific folder, it exports and it has a.
As in, like, because what I'm thinking is in Zotero, if I want to find something, I can go to Zotero or Obsidian. If I'm in Zotero, I can search for something. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a really cool paper, book, article, blog, whatever. I'm going to right click, open up Note, and it opens it up in Obsidian. Like, that's the plugin I have in Zotero. Is there something like that in Readwise?
No.
Because to my mind, to my knowledge, it's just an export of a file. And if it's just an export of a file that goes to Obsidian, that's obviously uploaded and stuff, then there's no sort of reciprocal link. In the same way, can you go from Obsidian to Readwise to the highlight?
Don't actually know. I haven't really thought about it. I think so. I can go from the Kindle back. I mean, I can set it up to do that, thinking about it, because obviously, I don't know.
I'm just right because obviously Zotero, when I have the export highlights, I have a link to directly to that highlighted point in the PDF. So if I want to know where the context of the point was, if I'm like halfway down a paper, I don't want to have to scroll down the paper. If I'm in Obsidian, I just click on the link in the Obsidian note and it opens up my Zotero PDF at that highlighted point. Can you do that with Readwise? I don't see many people trying to do that or showing that you can do that. I don't know.
Not really, no.
Because they're features I use all the time. Going from Zotero to Obsidian, Obsidian to Zotero, highlights wherever, especially when I'm in like 3 or 4 different papers, I'll have like the tabs of the papers in Zotero up. And then when I click into the Obsidian, it will then open up the appropriate tab. Are there tabs in Readwise?
No. You just
Okay.
get individual.
Blocks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Zotero. And it's free.
Yeah. I'm now going to go and peek and see if I can figure out how to make it. Anyway. Awesome. Thank you, people.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I guess as a small little update while we're here. Caracorder yesterday. I actually did some like trying to get better at the thing. Yeah. Okay. So this is how I've been learning so far. I've been typing on my keyboard throughout the day, using a hotkey every once in a while on my camcorder. When I'm editing, I'm using the camcorder because it's faster than my keyboard. That's the first thing I noticed. I was like, wow, okay. But my words per minute on a keyboard is around 90-ish. So it goes to 85, goes to 95 sometimes, depending on the day, what I'm typing. Camcorder, to start with, was obviously like 2-3 words a minute. It was bad. After the second day, so after about an hour of typing, it was around 10 words a minute. Yeah. I've now had it for just over a week, and I've been playing for half an hour at the end of the day. So this is like 11:30, midnight, and I just go on like typing club and just try and figure out where some letters are. That's what I've been doing for about a week. Yesterday, I thought, you know what? Let's actually put some effort in. So I did. And I spent an hour and a half putting effort in.
Yes.
And I got my words per minute up to 30.
Nice.
Like 10/15 to 30 doesn't sound like much, but that's a massive jump. And like 30 words per minute is 10 words a minute under the average typing speed for normal people on a keyboard.
Wow.
Yeah. The average typing speed is around 40-45 on a keyboard. And in what I would class as 3 hours of faffing around over a week and 1.5 hours of directed practice, I've managed to get to 30. I'm averaging around 25 words a minute, but 30. And this morning when I woke up, I started using it. My head in my hands, I'm just typing letters. Like, I'm not having to go, where do I move my finger? There. I'm just typing letters as I go. And there are some themes as well now, like my fingers just do it. And there, my fingers just do it. Oh, my fingers are just there. And it's working. And I'm also getting some of the symbols down as well. So inside of Obsidian, like the brackets, it's just there. It's little finger that way, my thumb this way, like middle thumb this way. Camcorder, you have 3 keys on a thumb. For people on video that haven't seen it, that's what it looks like. Can I get a shiny angle? There you go. Yeah, so you got the 2 black ones in the middle. Then you got, this is the little finger. So it's like that on top. So the thumb has all 3 of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that, and my fingers are just doing the thing.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, that's only an hour and a half of really practicing. And some of the words I'm typing as well are not easy. Like the camcorder thingy, it's not easy. But yeah, I'm excited because now that this businessy stuff, the template, the sales, and the video, all that stuff is sort of not coming to an end, but I don't have as many things. I can focus on it.
Yeah.
So I could get up to my typing speed in the next couple of weeks.
Update in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Oh, that's going to be exciting. Right. Closing
All right.
out.